Oh, here we go again. Cecelia Braekus throws some salt at you. Throw some shade at Clarissa Shields and says she is not the Gwoat. She has to still prove herself. Let's talk about what Cecelia Braekus has to say about Clarissa Shields in this video. All right, welcome back. It's been a long time since I've been cussed out by somebody from Flint, Michigan. But I'm quite sure that it is going to happen today because Cecelia Braekus said something about Clarissa Shields that I agree with. And I've been saying this, and it's just fact, okay? It's just fact. Before I get into that, though, thank you for watching the video. If you are a subscriber, make sure you have the bell icon selected so you can get your notifications, all notifications. And also, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Also, thank you to everybody that supports on the Patreon and channel members and everybody that comes by the live streams that we do Monday through Friday and Sunday mornings for OG Boxing Talk. Now, what Cecelia Braekus said was that there is no Gwoat right now, and Clarissa Shields has to do more. She has to do more to prove herself. Now, what has Clarissa Shields done? Because in order to assess whether or not what Cecelia Braekus is saying is true or not, you have to look at what Clarissa Shields has done, right? To say whether or not her viewpoint has validity to it. Because clearly she thinks what you've accomplished has a little something to do with whether or not you're the greatest woman of all time. If you've not accomplished more than everybody else, right, then what would make anybody believe just off your word or seeing you in a particular fight that you're greater than everybody? Now, what has Clarissa Shields accomplished? She is a two-time Olympic gold medalist. She is a 3-division champion, a women's champion. She's won belts at 168. She has become undisputed at 160. And she has been, she is unified. I think she's unified. If she's not unified, she's close to unified, or she's on her way to a fight away from being undisputed at 154. But she's got titles at 154 and 168, and she's undisputed at 160 pounds. That's a lot. And she's accomplished it in under, we'll do the Vasily Lomachenko thing. She's accomplished it in under 20 fights. What has she got? 16 fights, something like that, less than that. Whatever she has, in pretty much every fight, except for maybe one in her career, has been a championship fight, right? So clearly very, very accomplished, far more accomplished than the vast majority of women in boxing. But Cecelia Braekus says she's not accomplished enough. She needs to do more. Why would Cecelia Braekus say that? Because Cecelia Braekus is also an undisputed welterweight champion, and she has been the undisputed welterweight champion for something like 10 fights. And before that, she was unified for a bunch of fights before that. At a point, and I think it may be true now, I should look at Clarissa Shields' record because there's a chance she got on at least under 10 fights, but she doesn't have a lot of fights. Clarissa Shields, the last time I checked, Cecelia Braekus had more fights for undisputed, more defenses of the undisputed 147-pound championship than Clarissa Shields has fights. So I can't help but agree with Cecelia Braekus, or at the very least understand where Cecelia Braekus is coming from when she says that Clarissa Shields can't be the Gwoat. And she says there is no Gwoat, right? I think she said there is no Gwoat, right? But In order for Clarissa Shields to be that, she has to do more. I think that it is reasonable for a person to say that if you're going to be the greatest boxer in the world or the greatest of all time, and your accomplishments speak for yourself, because the only way you can know is if these older fighters, if you're better than these old fighters, is if you accomplish more than them, because you can't put them in the ring to figure that out. If Cecelia Braekus holds that position and Cecelia Braekus has accomplished more than Clarissa Shields has, then what else is she supposed to think? It's the only logical thing for her to think. And if you look at their resumes, it's very difficult for anybody just at a glance to compare the two, because one's resume is just ridiculous, and the other one is stacked, You know what I mean? Cecelia Braekus is ridiculous. Clarissa Shields is stacked. Now, this is how ridiculous it is for Cecelia Braekus. And not that I give this record that they're trying to sell any credence, but she's actually on her way to, I do believe, not too far from 25 consecutive title defenses in the same weight class. Because that's, I do believe, the 25 title defenses is the record, or somewhere around there, for Joe Louis's heavyweight title. Right? Because he reigned for like 12 years, had a whole lot of title defenses. And Cecelia Braekus is in line to tie that or beat that. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't saying that Cecelia Braekus has accomplished what Joe Louis has accomplished. I'm not doing that, right? You got 4 different belts. Most specifically, it's women's boxing. And women's boxing is just not as deep, just doesn't have the history, right? But you retort, my Flint, Michigan friends, and you say, but Clarissa Shields is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Cecelia Braekus didn't do that. That must go towards her credit, right, of what she's accomplished. And since she accomplished it and Cecelia Braekus ain't accomplished it, then hey, right? Makes sense. Nah, not quite. Because I don't believe that there was any female women's boxing in the Olympics prior to 2008. The 2008, the 2012, 2008, 2012, and 2016 are the only women's Olympics, because they just brought it back in 2008, which is why you have a lot of women being like 2-time Olympic champions that are all coming out now, right? You have, I think Katie Taylor is an Olympic champion, if not a 2-time Olympic champion. I do believe that Adams won a medal there too, but you never heard that about fighters like Lucia Riker. Lucia Riker doesn't have Olympic gold medals because there was no women's Olympics, right? Layla Ali does not have Olympic gold medals. She didn't fight any amateurs, number one, but number two, there was no Olympics when she was fighting. So same thing for Christy Martin, same thing for Lucia Riker, same thing for all of them, right? Ann Wolf, there was no Olympics for them to go to. So putting that as an accomplishment and making them as something that they didn't do, I don't know, man. They really didn't have the opportunity to do so. Now, Cecelia Braekus also, number one, Cecelia Braekus, I'd have to look to see how long Cecelia Braekus has been a pro. But seeing as since she's walking up on 25, since she's walking up on 25 title defenses, she's been around 10 years. So Olympics wasn't an option for her. Especially because even when Olympics became possible for her, Norway, where she's from, boxing's illegal. So she didn't have a country she could fight for if there was an Olympic Games. So I say all that to say, look, from Clarissa Shields, from Cecelia Braekus' position, there ain't nothing wrong with what she had to say. That ain't telling nothing but the truth about Clarissa Shields. Now, however, when she says she has to do more, Clarissa Shields is sitting there saying she's willing to do more, that she wants to go down. She's willing to go down to 154 if Cecelia Braekus is willing to move up to from 147 to 154 to meet her. She'll fight her. And if she beats Cecelia Braekus, hey, then she beat somebody with that type of record. So, all in all, man, I like the back and forth between the two of them. I have a lot of respect for Cecelia Braekus. I have a lot and growing respect for Clarissa Shields, but it is what it is. As long as Clarissa Shields is saying, when she's calling herself the Gwoat sounds and means something similar to what Shane Mosley says when he says Sugar Shane Mosley, you know what I mean? Or Arrow the Truth Spence, right? Or Terrence Bud Crawford. It's not really it's just their name. You know what I mean? So if that's just the name she's given, then cool. But if you're going to actually talk about the breakdown of it, she's very well on her way. Very well on her way. In 5 years, that might absolutely be the case, that she's the greatest woman of all time. She surpasses everything that anybody's done. At her age and with her exposure and the network that she has behind her and the platform that she has behind her, I think she has all the ability in the world to accomplish all of that stuff. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's my take on the subject. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.